Welcome to lesson 4.3 on factoring simple trinomials. So, in past lessons, we've multiplied two binomials together to form a trinomial. And in this lesson, we're going to do the opposite. We're going to start off with a trinomial and learn how to break it into two binomials. So, if we have an equation x squared plus bx plus c, and all these ones today, there will be no coefficient in front of the x squared. What we're going to do is we want to find the two numbers that'll make these equations true. We have to have two numbers that multiply together to give us c, and they add together to give us b. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put the two numbers we added together into our binomial expressions. So let's use this example to start off with. X squared plus 2x minus 8. We have to ask ourselves what two numbers multiply together to give us minus 8 and add together to give us positive 2. And we could look and we could say, well, ways we can get minus 8. What two numbers will give us minus 8? Well, we could do minus 1 times 8, but those would not add up to 2. We could do minus 2 times 4, and that would give us minus 8, and minus 2 plus 4 would give us plus 2. So we found our two numbers, 4 and minus 2. 4 times minus 2 equals minus 8. 4 plus minus 2 equals 2. So we're going to put the 4 and the 2 right down into our binomials. So we get x plus 4 times x plus negative 2. We'll simplify that out so it's just x minus 2. And then we could always go ahead and FOIL that to make sure that it equals our trinomial up here. So we're going to go through some examples of this. But first, we'll refresh our memory a little bit on the distributive law to expand binomials. Not one, but two binomials. So if we have a plus b and we multiply that by c plus d, remember, use FOIL. So when we do FOIL, it says we multiply our first terms, a times c. So we get ac. Oops. And then we do our outside terms, a times d, and it's going to be positive. And our inside terms, b times c. And then finally, our last terms, b times d. So we can use that principle to multiply two binomials together. Here we go. X times x, well, that's going to give us x squared. X times 3, that's going to give us 3x. Our inside terms, 2 times x, it's going to give us 2x. And finally, 2 times 3, which will be 6. Finally, we're just going to simplify our equation there. We're going to have x squared plus 3 plus 2 is 5. So plus 5x plus 6. So that's what we did in the previous lesson using the distributive law. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do the opposite of that in this lesson. We're going to do factoring. So we're going to factor the following trinomial. And we're going to use the steps that we saw up above. So we have our trinomial x squared plus 3x plus 2. So we need two numbers that multiply to give positive 2 and add together to give positive 3. So if we're doing that, 2 times 1, oh, that'll work. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. So we can do x plus 2 times x plus 1. And we've now just factored our first trinomial. So with these next examples, I want you to take a look at them as we're going through and see if you can maybe pause the video and answer them yourselves and then resume the video to see if you're right. So I'm actually going to put this onto the next page. Our next trinomial, x squared minus x minus 6. So we need two numbers that multiply to give us minus 6. When added together, give us minus 1. So pause the video and try it out. All right, so we need two numbers to multiply to negative 6 and add together to negative 1. Well, the only way we can have two numbers multiplied together and get a negative answer is if one is negative and others positive. So we just have to go through our factors. All right, well, we can do 6 and 1. Say the 6 is negative. Negative 6 times 1. Well, that'll give us negative 6, but negative 6 plus 1, negative 5. So that's not going to work. We could do negative 2 times 3. Negative 2 times 3 will give us negative 6. Negative 2 plus 3 will give us positive 1. Oh, we're close. Not quite there. What about negative 3 times 2? Negative 3 times 2 is going to give us negative 6. Negative 3 plus 2 will be negative 1. So our numbers are negative 3 and 2. We're just going to put that into a binomial. X minus 3 times, x plus 2. And once again, if we wanted to, we could distribute this. X times x is x squared. X times 2 is 2x. Minus 3 times x is minus 3x. So that's going to simplify to minus x. And minus 3 times 2 is minus 6. So our distributive law works. And we do have the proper factors. So our factors of x squared minus x minus 6 is x minus 3 times x plus 2. All right. Here is another type we can see. X squared minus 7x plus 12. Well, we've got a positive here, but when we add together, we get a negative. This is a sign that we have two negative numbers. Two negative numbers multiplied together will create a positive, but when added together, will give you a negative. So let's try and figure this one out. How about negative 12 and negative 1? Well, that would give us positive 12, but when added together, minus 13, so that won't work. We could do negative 2, negative 6. That's going to add together to give us negative 8. So we can do negative 4, negative 3. Negative 4 and negative 3. So just put those into our binomials. X minus 4 times x minus 3. And once again, if we're unsure, we could always expand this. I'll do it the full way this time. X times x is going to give us x squared. X times negative 3 minus 3x minus 4 times x minus 4x minus 4 times minus 3 is going to give us positive 12. So when we collect that together, we will have x squared minus 7x plus 12, which is what we started with in our original trinomial. So we know we've got the right answer. All right, one final one. Sometimes I told you there would never be a coefficient in front of the x in this lesson. Well, there is, but it's only to show you that sometimes it's smarter to see if there's a common fraction we can pull out first. Or, sorry, a common factor, not fraction. So we want to see if there's a common factor we can pull out from all three of these terms. Well, I noticed the 18 doesn't have any x's, so I'm not going to be able to pull out any x's. So let's look at the coefficients 3, 15, and 18. What's the greatest common factor of those three, or the highest number that all three of those terms are divisible by? And that's going to be 3. So I'm going to pull 3 out and rewrite my equation. 3 3 divided by x squared is going to just be x squared. 3 divided by 15x is going to be 5x. And 18 divided by 3 is going to be 6. So now I've got a simple trinomial in my brackets, and I can factor that further down. I need two numbers that multiply to 6 and add to 5. So you can go through them in your head, and once you've figured it out, resume the video here. All right, so we're going to leave the 3 just the way it is. But what two numbers multiply to 6 and add to 5? Well, everything's positive, so I'm going to try positive 3 and positive 2, because I know those add to 5 and multiply to 6. And so those are my numbers right there. X plus 3, x plus 2. I could have looked at 6 times 1, but since they're both positive, that would add to 7x, not 5x. So 3 and 2 are my numbers. So now this is fully factored. The key to this one, see if we can find a greatest common factor for all three of these terms first. If you can, it'll make it a simple trinomial. All right, so that is common factoring, and that's the end of lesson 4.3. So once again, I've added on one of these little puzzles for you to try. Go ahead and give it a shot, and that'll give you a chance to practice factoring trinomials. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. We'll see you tomorrow for lessons 4.4 and 4.5. Take care.